Managing bits at scale is potentially one of the most powerful applications of accessing an Amazon's Excel file or an Amazon spreadsheet. Bulk sheets will allow us to export campaign data, and that includes everything from ad groups to keywords, targets, the current bids for every target.
Awesome. Today we are back. We are going to do another episode on bulk files. We're going to do kind of an extension of the previous episode, doing an intro to bulk files. We're now going to do an actual video using the bulk files so that you can actually start to manipulate and get value out of them today. So Gabe, go ahead and give us a little intro about what we're going to be doing.
Amazing. So basically, guys, managing bits at scale is potentially one of the most powerful applications of accessing an Amazon's Excel file or an Amazon spreadsheet from the ad console rather than making manual adjustments in the ad console. Bulk sheets will allow us to export campaign data, and that includes everything from ad groups to keywords, targets, the current bids for every target, even how every single ad group and campaign are structured. So through this, we'll be able to adjust bids across hundreds of thousands of rows. It will all depend on your account size and the amount of products you have within your account or the amount of campaigns you have running within your account. And we will be able to finally re-upload those changes in basically, a super easy methodology. This way, you save time. You can go ahead and set a cadence for this kind of optimizations. And if you are, some sort of macro magician or macro expert, you also will be able to, come up with your own stuff to go ahead and manipulate these bulk files in an even better way.
Awesome. Well, let's get started. Let's go ahead and share your screen and let's dig into it. I think it would be cool to show people how to use formulas to hit particular ACOS targets, how to do placement modifiers, now newly known as bid adjustments. I think being able to do this, and like you said, you can do it at scale with millions of rows, but today we're going to do it with the same file, which so I think those are some good use cases that do add value.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and allow me to share screen. I'm under advertising.amazon.com and I'm under sponsored ads, bulk operations. So under bulk operations, like we discussed on the introduction video to Amazon PPC bulk sheets, this is a 3-step methodology that every single one of these will expand onto multiple things, especially the number 2 one, which is editing your file. So first, we're going to create and download a custom spreadsheet. Today, since we're doing bid adjustments, one of the best practices, or to better understand how we should approach this, is understanding date ranges. For instance, we could go ahead and just optimize based on last week's performance, or we could go ahead and optimize based on last 30 days performance. Like you will see, Amazon will display different date range here: 60 days, 30 days, 14 days, 7 days, yesterday alone, and today. Eric, whenever you launch a campaign, what do you think is the optimal time to wait in order to make adjustments? People would recommend you wait at least a day. Some people would recommend you wait at least 2 days. What is your take there?
Yeah, good question. So there's different scenarios, right? So let's say we're doing a ranking campaign. We got an $8 bid. Well, I'm probably going to keep my eye on that because that's kind of the recipe for potentially a runaway campaign. We could max out in an hour, same day. We could just completely run away if we don't have a good budget on it. So that is kind of one use case. And then let me give you the polar opposite. Let's say we're launching a new campaign with a low bid and we're trying to increase it as we get impressions and clicks. Well, both of them are different scenarios and they're kind of on the opposite of the spectrum.
Yeah.
One I'm watching to see kind of how the results are coming in. Then the other one I'm kind of waiting to increase the bid until we get clicks. So to me, it's honestly based on the results, but those 2 instances I'd probably be checking every daily.
Yeah, that's spot on. Actually, I think this topic is particularly directed to those campaigns that have been performing for a little while. And you really want to surface a lot of the things that are working versus the things that are not working. A lot of the things that you probably launched but never ever had impressions, or have had impressions and no clicks. I think this particular video will go and lean more towards the area of, maintenance and optimization rather than approaching a product launch or a campaign launched from scratch. And it's important, and Eric was spot on this, that um, see bulk files as a way to nurture, optimize, and drive the sustainability of the profitability or scalability of your campaigns through bulk files. Because a lot of things like running out of budget, or making sure that you're showcasing your ad on the first page of search results, I don't think bulk files will necessarily provide you that. It'll rather provide a lot of different insights versus actually what a product launch could look like. And it's important to have that in mind, because usually as you become a bulk files expert, you'll want to spend more time here rather than the ad console itself. But the ad console also, it has a lot of revealing information especially when it comes to a new product launch or a new campaign launch.
Absolutely. One thing I would add to that is that I've been doing this for 10 years, and we did it with pivot tables and bulk files and software, but it's gotten to a point now it's not really about doing it with one thing. It's about doing it like it requires multiple softwares essentially to answer all of the questions that you need. So now bulk files is a way to do mass implementation in the sense of bulk bid adjustments, as well as uh, placement modifiers and things of that nature, as well as campaign creation. And you can do things at scale. But I still like other softwares for looking at ranking and looking at some of the analytics. I still like to use some other softwares. So I do think it's come to a point where you need more software than you used to use before, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And really, what the softwares are doing, they are revealing and arranging a lot of this bulk file information in different ways so that we can interpret the information in our favor, right? So it's something definitely super interesting to navigate. So we will go ahead and enable and download our bulk file. In this case, just like before, we will include pause campaigns, placement data for campaigns. Depending on the ad type you want to work on, you might as well just select that ad type you want to go over. In this case, I'm going to download all of the data. So we will include sponsor products data, sponsor brands data, sponsor brands multi-ad group data, sponsor display data. You can leave guidance for sponsor products unmarked. There is no campaign information there. And you could also bring in the sponsor products and sponsor brands search term data and select create spreadsheet for download. If you have an account with a catalog bigger than 20, 30, 50 items, you would be better off probably just selecting one ad type at a time and then downloading sponsor products first, and then sponsor brands next, and then sponsor display next, just so that the bulk file doesn't take too long to load, because it's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes depending on the bulk file size. Sometimes it can be slightly more, and sometimes it can be a matter of minutes. But just take that into consideration, because you don't want to wait a full hour while watching this video and then coming back to your bulk files, or then forgetting about it. So definitely something to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
So once we download our bulk file, it'll look something like this. As you can see here, we are getting everything I selected as far as what I wanted to include. We have portfolios in the first tab. We have sponsor product campaigns in the second tab, followed by sponsor brands multi-ad group data, sponsor display, search term data for both sponsor products and sponsor brands, which in this scenario, we're going to go ahead, and the first thing we'll do is set up a filter. As you can see, although this feels or kind of look overwhelming as far as the amount of information it is actually following an order and structure, right? So you can see, for instance, where the campaign starts and where the campaign ends, because take an example and take a look at column O, for instance. You have a start date which I mean, if you have spent time on that console, you will know that campaigns will have a start date, sometimes an end date, sometimes they got no end date. That's why they are blank next to that cell. But you will see that the campaign actually begins there where the start date, and it finishes where the other start date for another campaign begins. So these follow a certain structure, which we can later, turn and replicate. But just for the record of understanding that these follow an order, and it's just not a bunch of different rows randomly appearing and populating your file. It is important that you see that these follow a particular structure. Every single row will enclose something that belongs to that campaign. So in this case, you can see that if we go under column B, under entity, you will see that campaign, what those usually live under the campaigns are ad groups, as well as the bidding adjustments control, whether those are top of search, rest of search, product pages, Amazon business placement more recently. And then within that configuration of that campaign, the ad group lives within. Sometimes you will have multiple ad groups, or you will find multiple ad groups within a campaign. We usually follow the modeling of one ad group per campaign, just because it's a bit easier from a scalability standpoint. Within the ad group, you will advertise or add the products you want to advertise, and then you will select what do you want to target, as far as like whether that is a keyword, a product target, etc. I'm just reiterating a bit of information from the intro video, because we are going to go ahead and filter down the specifics for making bid adjustments, but it's super important that we get that out of the way. So we're gonna go ahead and filter our targets, right? So we can go ahead and filter. There are two types of targets within bulk files. There are the keyword entities, or the keyword rows, and there are the product targeting rows. So this is something for you to take note of. The entity does not make a difference between auto campaigns and product targeting campaigns. Product targeting campaigns are both auto campaigns and product targeting campaigns, if that makes sense. So the bulk file will recognize auto campaigns as product targeting campaigns, and then they'll give them a different name under the product targeting information. As I scroll back here, for instance, you can see that we have product targeting, keyword, and then followed by product targeting, cells, and then keyword. If I scroll right to see what these product target campaigns are about, or what I'm actually targeting there, what I found under product targeting expression is that these are all auto campaigns, right? You see that the auto targeting groups are substitutes, loose match, complements, close match, loose substitutes. That means these are all auto targeting groups in essence. Now let's go ahead and get to work as far as the bid adjustments and bid optimizations here. So what are the different instances I can navigate? Well, one of the things we like to do is top down by ad spend. And one of probably the most simple things is to filter zero orders to find out what are the targets that have not created any orders over a certain period in time. And this is something we can navigate based off things like conversion rate, or based off things like other factors such as AZOS. But in this instance, I filtered zero orders. And let's make a few assumptions here. Let's say, I usually convert once every 5 clicks, meaning I get a 20% conversion rate, which is insane. But at the same time, I know that anything that goes beyond 5 clicks that doesn't necessarily turn into a sale, I might want to optimize it, or I might want just slow the pace of ad spend of what I'm doing there. So in this case, we are potentially finding one row that should probably get optimized, right? One row that we should probably get the bit lowered quite a bit. So let's go ahead and do that. What I'll do is I'll take this, and usually what you will want to do is under a new file. Let me zoom this a bit for you. This is like the most specific and the best way your bulk files will get read. through Amazon's advertising platform will be through creating a new file, pasting the new information there, and uploading that file instead of the master file you downloaded in the first place. So let's go ahead and make changes to this particular row. We know that it's been 6 clicks with no orders, right? So we can see here that we have gone in, we're in 6 clicks, $3.43 in ad spend. We could exaggerate this a bit more. Like, do you want me to go ahead and quadruple the clicks, Eric, and let's go ahead and attack it as if it was more ad spend?
Well, let's. I think that for the purpose of illustration, let's imagine that was 30 clicks and it was or something. What's the typical threshold that you would put in a negative? That's the exercise we're doing here?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're lowering the bid on something that hasn't generated money or hasn't generated a sale.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, put in the typical situation that would match that criteria. So, I mean, what would be, how many clicks without sales before you would adjust the bid?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would usually look at the conversion rate. So if like I said, if conversion rate is currently 20%, which means we do a conversion every 5 clicks, which is phenomenal, right? I would expect to grab a conversion every 5 clicks, and if I don't, that's probably a flag, and then I would optimize anything that's getting higher than 6 clicks or greater than or equal to 5 clicks, or greater than or equal to 6 clicks and doesn't convert. But usually that's not the case, right? I'm making up scenario that's very usual. I would probably go 5% conversion rate. I think it's a lot more common. And that is 1 order every 20 clicks. So if we would make this up, let's say this has 25 clicks and it has spent a total of, let's make it straight $25 or $50, which is a CPC of $2, right? Something like that, I think could be pretty normal to see these days, as far as like you increasing your bids to get visibility, but not necessarily getting orders. And at the same time, driving clicks for a longer time, where you could have potentially already seen a conversion rate happen while you remain at zero sales.
Well, one thing I would say, just to keep this simple and keep us adding value. So the purpose of this video is to show high level of how to use it. So let's go ahead and just show them how to use it. We'll do a future video on strategy and how that would look for different categories, things of that nature. Let's not get too much into strategy, and let's just focus on how do I do certain things. So like and paint the different ways we could use it, and then copy this to a new sheet and show what it would look like. Because I think that call out of copying it to a new sheet also saves you 30 minutes to an hour. And so I think that was also a good call out. So, but I think we should stay on and just show them the advanced things you can do with this, and best practices, kind of an intermediate advanced, more from a function and usability level.
Amazing. So if we use as reference, I usually like to navigate this calculating the CPC. So if we do spend divided by clicks here, I get a 50-cent CPC. And then, considering that this hasn't drove any orders, I usually calculate my new bid, or my intention here is to lower my bid. So let's say I'll do 75% of the CPC, which would take our bid down from 57 cents to 42 cents. Now, I have the intention of lowering my bid based off my CPC of 57 cents. And in order to do that, I need to fill in the bid information here, which is right now blank, to 42 cents. And so this way, I'll be able to go lower and try to drive a lower cost, because my regular cost for a while it's been 57 cents. I think I can wait a bit longer and I can spend a little more, just a bit more effectively, meaning more cost effectively with a lower bid. And once I'm done editing what I want to edit, which in this case is calculating a new bid, I'll want to come back all the way to the C column, which is operation, and just type update, right? And with that, I'm ready to go ahead and save my file and upload it to the ad console. So let's go ahead and do that. If I go ahead and do command save, I'll want to name this something I can reference against. So I'll usually go ahead and name it something like, this is sponsored products, right? So I'll do sponsored products, or you'll want to, get started with brand and then sponsored products. and then we'll want to do auto bid adjustment. I usually add the date as well, just in case I want to reference any kind of edits I've done in the past. So you could do something like, today, let's put this ahead in the future, and let's say it's December 31st. So December 31st, 26. I don't know. And then we'll want to save this, and this is saved. It's got a proper naming convention as far as the adjustments I made on that day, and I can go back to the Act console. I can finally select step 3, and I can go ahead and choose a file to upload. It's going to show the file we are about to upload, and you will want to select upload to process changes. So from here, it's on Amazon hands to take your information, process it, and come up with the final resolution of the bulk file you uploaded. So usually it'll display, the amount of rows that got processed, whether the amount of rows got successfully processed as well. And if there were any changes, it'll also display, whether or not what didn't or what worked or didn't work in this case. So we have successfully edited one of our bits for one target through using bulk files in this scenario.
Awesome. I can tell you now that we're definitely going to need to do some subsequent videos, definitely some exciting stuff. But yeah, I think that this is probably a good point. Is there anything that you would like to add? If you were watching this video and you were you just did the intro, you've watched this one, and you're kind of starting to play with it, is there any kind of tips or advice that you would leave them with for this video?
Well, for this video alone, I think it's a matter of discovery, right? And feeling that you can go ahead and separate the information, because usually that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part with bulk files, like separating what you should be doing versus what you have to do. And this is one of the things where when it comes to runway campaigns or bleeding targets, you want to make sure that you are able to split that out. And that's why probably my biggest takeaway from the video is, okay, you got converting targets and you got non-converting targets. So for those non-converting targets, let's go ahead and look at those. What are those? What are the instances where we could lower bids or even pause campaigns? In this case, we went ahead and lowered a bid for a target that probably has potential, but if it's accruing clicks and it's not getting us any places just yet, we might as well lower the bid a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that the way that you simplified it and broke it down into a usable format was fantastic, and it made it so that it was a lot more confrontable and workable. So I think this is a good place to end off.
Thank you for watching. I am a team lead at Bullseye Sellers. I've been in the Amazon and TikTok space for over 10 years, and I've worked with over 100 brands, helping them generate over 100 million in sales. On this channel, I'm going to share real strategies and growth hacks to help you scale your Amazon brand and TikTok shop. If you would like help, please book a free strategy call with our team. A calendar link will be in the description. As well as, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.